Welcome to Projects for All. My name is Mike, and this is a Festool TS55 REQ. You notice the walls in here are blank, everything's moved around. It's finally time to finish this garage and make a proper shop and start getting organized. OSB sheets are 22 bucks. That's not good, but it's better than 45. And I'm tired of not hanging cabinets and, having a totally disorganized garage. So we have 11 sheets of OSB, a Festool track saw. So we're gonna chop some wood up. But first, let's get in there, let's check this thing out. Let's see all of its features and all of its adjustments. There's actually more to talk about than you would think on this. There's a lot of adjustments, there's a lot of little knobs and things everywhere. So I guess we'll start on one side and work our way around. You have a plug it power cord that just comes out. It's pretty slick because I'm sure they use this system to change power cords for different regions, but if you damage your power cord, you can always just replace it, and that's pretty sweet. Here's your safety lock. If I don't press that, I can't pull the trigger, and I can't plunge the saw. So that locks everything. Around the front here, you have your plunge stopper, and this is a knob you can turn to adjust, to fine-tune where the stopper stops. You have two gauges here. You have two zeros. You have 0 on this side, and then if you move this down, 0 on this side. The FS is for when the saw is sitting on the track, and this accounts for the thickness of the track to make 0 the face of your material. This is actual 0. So if you put it here, this is 0 right to the bottom of the shoe on the bottom of the tool. The saw has a blade tilt mechanism. This is the unlock. There is a corresponding one in the back. That allows you to tilt your saw all the way to 45 degrees. For the shoe, it has these knobs here. And what they do is adjust these cammed wheels up against this material right here. It's plastic, like a flexible plastic, and you can adjust the tension on your rail as your rail slides through here. Make it a little bit tighter, take out any slop. This little guide in the corner here, 0 and 45 is just like a circular saw, so you don't need the track to use this. But here's your guide for where your blade sits. So if you're running this freehand without a track, that's what you would use right there. Just that little notch in the corner. There's this roller right here for variable speed. 6 being the highest speed. 6 being for hardwoods and things like that, and all the way down to 1 for things like cement board. And then you have other settings for acrylic sheeting or even aluminum with the correct blades. Fast fix. When I rotate this up, you watch this cam right here, and this tab sticks out right here. So when I plunge it with that tab sticking out, the tab goes down and gets locked about halfway. And what that allows us to do is get to this nut right here so we can change our blade on the fly. Changing the blade is simple. Got an Allen key stored in the handle. I should note that when you lock this down with that fast fix lever, it also locks everything else. So now you can just unscrew this. Pull your blade right out of there. 6.5-inch blade, or 160 millimeters by 2.2 millimeters by 20 millimeters, I'm assuming is the arbor. 48 tooth. Slides right back in. Couple indexing keys in it. Just line that up and it's in position, put your little Allen bolt back in. Crazy simple. As soon as you push this down, right back in it goes. God, I hate airplanes. Pretty sure I heard somebody flush the toilet last one that went by. I'm going to tell you the dust extraction on this probably works pretty good because as I'm using it, it's really throwing a lot of dust out of this port without any suction because I don't have a 1.5 inch adapter or however many millimeters this could be. And I don't feel like finding one, so we're just going to let it ride this one. But it is making a pile right next to the saw right as this goes by. So we took out 5 T15 Torx screws and the side plate just comes right off. You can see what's going on. You can get in here, you can clean out the dust, of which this one's got quite a bit. You can really see how this thing works without the cover on. The riving knife is super cool. So they call this little moving plastic piece a viewing window. It falls down on gravity and just contacts whatever surface. It gives you a little better dust extraction because it directs everything up instead of out. And if we plunge it, you can see that that's where your blade comes out at the front there. So this is the viewing window, and then you can just pull this thing out of there. It just pops right out. And you can pop in this one. And this is like a sacrificial fence in a way. This pops on, and this you would have to manually adjust. It comes with a knob to lock it in there, and you can bring it down to the surface of your material and lock it down. It presses up against whatever material you're cutting, helps prevent tear out, and makes a cleaner cut at the front edge of the part that you're cutting off. You just tighten that down and it's adjusted, but you have to do this one manually. The viewing window just slides and gravity controls it. Getting this off is easy. Take the knob off, it just pops right out. You just put your viewing window right back in and it just holds itself into place. So what's the best part of a track saw? Obviously that it rides in a track. The track for Festool has 2 foam pads that stick to your material. It also has this plastic strip that was sacrificial, meaning that when this saw was new, or this track was new, this was bigger and it had to be cut through. So this is exactly the inside edge or kerf of your saw blade. The saw blade literally rides right up against this as you cut, and that allows you to line this up so you know exactly where the edge of your cut's going to be. So to use it, you literally just measure it right there. Consider your kerf if you're trying to use the outside piece. And your saw sits right on it. It rides smooth as can be. Almost no friction at all. Takes just the lightest touch to move. The only accessory I have for the track itself is this stopper. And it slides in this channel right here and then tightens down. You literally just put it on, turn the knob, and it tightens. And what this does is when you plunge at the beginning of your cut, you put this at the beginning and lock this down. You can let it slide with the saw, lock it, and this does not allow the saw to go up or back. So you can see it's stuck to the track now, but it just hooks it right on this little tab here, right up underneath here. So this prevents kickback, and it'll prevent it from coming up and kicking back. And it's just a pretty cool, easy, simple to use safety measure. I mean, it takes no effort to use it at all. And I can totally see where this would make you a little bit safer. So if you have this saw and you don't use this, I don't know why. It's pretty sweet. This Festool saw came in this cool Sustainer T-lock case. It's reasonably thin plastic. It's not super heavy duty, but it's really well designed, and I'm pretty impressed. It has hooks on the bottom, back here, and in the front. So you could nest another one on top under here, and then turn this to lock another one to it. So you can stack these and lock them together. It's nicely made. This latch feels surprisingly nice. I don't know why I'm so surprised. I mean, it's expensive and it's made in Germany, and it better be nice, but when you open the lid, it has this nice color picture insert underneath the lid here, and it shows you where all your accessories go, so everything fits the way it should inside here, how to put your saw in. It's got a little foam pad to hold the saw secure, and it's got a picture of your saw with all the crazy accessories and things you could buy to use with it. It also has a nice guide for blades. It shows you material and which blade to use for what material. So you got a little handy guide on the bottom. Inside here, this isn't very thick plastic. It's actually pretty flexible, but so you don't want to be rough with this stuff, but it's got a nice place to put all the accessories that come with it. This one doesn't have too many of the accessories with it, but the picture shows me where to put everything. And this is pretty nice. The saw just nests right in there. Beautiful. So I'm all set up to make a cut. I'm gonna take 1.5 inches off the end of this board. I have this set up right at 1.5 inches. I have my track on there and I have my stopper on there. And as I pull this back, when I start this cut, the blade's gonna come out straight here. And I'm gonna have to plunge through the end of this because the track's only 55 inches long. And the board is 48 inches, so it doesn't give you a lot of overhang. So I have my depth set. I'll plunge through the end of this. If we use that tear out piece, that would probably clean this up, but honestly, it's pretty solid. That's really clean. So let's not lie to ourselves. If you spent $700 for basically what I've shown you here, you're expecting the best, and I would be too. And this is, dare I say, the best. It does everything it says it's going to do. The adjustments are super tight. Everything's precise. Everything works the way it ought to. It cuts super smooth, super easy. The riving knife is a nice safety feature that you don't get on cheaper saws, and I'm impressed. Would I spend $700 on this because I own a table saw? No. If I had a job site saw and I had really limited space, this is awesome. You get a lot of functionality out of this, and you could basically do anything someone with a full-size table saw could do with this. You would need another rail to make this longer, but there is a lot to be said for a track saw that would replace a full-size table saw, and you know, you might have to make a concession or two, but not many, and this thing's pretty awesome. Next up is this one, and I expect we'll be making a lot of concessions with this because the whole kit for this, when track saw, was $200 with tax, shipped to my house. This with one rail, this with two, this was $700. It's a huge difference, a huge difference. So would I buy the Festool? Me personally? No, it's too expensive. I could probably save a couple $100 and go Makita or DeWalt and still get a really great product. But should I go this cheap? That's the question. Thank you so much for watching my video. Keep an eye out because in the next week or two, we're gonna do this Wen track saw, and we're gonna chop up some wood with that. So we'll check this thing out next. We'll see what you guys think. Super expensive, super cheap, somewhere in the middle. I appreciate you watching. If you like these videos, consider hitting the subscribe button. It really helps out the channel. I'll see you in the next video.